Okay, today is Sunday, September 17th, and it's just a little bit past noon, so we've got some good sunlight on the deck here. And this is probably one of the last videos of the season, I'm gonna say. There might be a straggler after this, but really I'm about to do a huge harvest on a bunch of the edible plants. And a lot of the flowers, now that it's getting cold, will probably be petering out here soon. So yeah. Starting here on the deck with something that I got finished this week. I was off for vacation and we decided to stay home because there was just so much to be done. And this is one of the projects that I got finished, which is such a relief. So I have these huge planters. I don't know, let me see if my hand can give it some scale. Huge. Two round ones, this one here and that one right there. And I bought dirt and got them filled up, which was a process all in and of itself. And I had a little station set up in the driveway. Actually, I can merge in a picture of what I had out there. But anyway, the goal was to get my root-bound yarrow plants and my root-bound lemongrass plants into planters that they could possibly survive in through the winter. I plan to move these two pots to a warm place. I'm not sure where that's going to be yet. I have a couple ideas, but I'm also thinking of covering the tops with like plastic and chicken wire maybe. But yeah, we'll see. I'm going to pay close attention to them this winter and make sure I protect them because I really want yarrow and lemon balm to come back for me next spring, so I don't have to start it from seed again. So yeah, as you can see in this planter here, I got about 5 of my plants in here, which is probably overcrowded a bit, but in my opinion, there was still a lot of space between them, and it's so deep that I feel like these plants have plenty of dirt and nutrition to make it. And if I lose one or two, then it's not such a big deal. And they took to the transplant really well. They were very root bound in their pots, but I broke them up in the water bath, and they really, they might have sagged a little bit the first day, but I've been keeping them watered and they really are looking great. So they've taken to the transplant just fine. The lemon balm, same thing. Now I had a bunch of smaller plants, but I decided to go with my 3 largest plants, and I was able to lower them right into this planter. And again, I did also break up their root system so that they can grow more freely. And these guys they didn't really sag at all. Oh, just smelled my hand, and if you grow lemon balm, you know how amazing this stuff is. It tastes amazing, it smells amazing. It's very therapeutic. Very stress reducing, anxiety reducing, a calming effect on the body. Yeah, so I love it in tea. That's why I'm growing it. It's so delicious. But even though I got a lot of plants put into these large containers, I still have so many. Also, I've got all these little ones over here. These are lemon balms. And my plan for these is I'm going to harvest these leaves today probably and get them drying. And then these yarrows, I'm not sure yet. Either find them good homes or up-pot them, or they just die. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll definitely move them into the garage once it gets cold if I haven't had time to tend to them, but I mean, they're beautiful specimens, and I just, yeah, think I'll probably, yeah, make a push to either get them into new hands or make sure they survive the winter. The feverfew, I did a huge harvest on a few days ago. Took it down to pretty much, I think, as low as I could have gone. And yeah, The back row here are all single plants, so they've had more room, and they've definitely done better. Less yellowing, more robust plants. And then these were all planters that had multiple plants in them, and you know, it's amazing. I still harvested a ton of flowers off of those and leaves, and that's what you use with feverfew, the leaves and the flowers. So I have that all inside drying, and I can merge in a photo of what that looks like. But yeah, once it's all dry, I plan to grind it up and make my own capsules, and it's a pain reliever, so it's so exciting. That's also feverfew, which I also harvested this week. So it's, you know, just a little nub here, but this is a perennial. I did look into that, and I don't know if these little plants will make it. I didn't get a chance to up pot them like I did the lemon balm and the yarrow, because I actually don't have a planter container. So I'm not sure what I'll do. I do have a couple larger pots, and I might just try to do one or two more like this. I think this guy might make it if I protect it in the garage. So yeah, not sure what I'm going to do here, but at least I got to harvest everything, and I got a nice yield on that this year. Another glimpse of the coreopsis. There are 2 plants in that container. It's probably due to be up potted, but it's still doing well. I made the mistake of like spritzing it down with my squirt bottle just for, I don't even know why. It didn't have bugs on it. It was a rookie move, and I started to get powdery mildew, but I fixed that issue. I'm going to share this little trick. Sulfur powder. So I bought sulfur powder, and I bought this little puffer thing, and it helps, you know, with powdery mildew and fungal things. You just basically, you know, you want to get out of the line of fire. But yeah. Now I sprayed that a little too close to my edibles. It's not the end of the world. I do rinse my leaves when I harvest them, so I'll be sure to rinse them off, but you don't want to spray that on your edible plants. But I do it on my non-edibles, like the coreopsis and the zinnias especially. That whole patch there needed a dousing, and the patch out in the backyard, the raised garden beds. So it's made a huge difference on the powdery mildew. And also in the springtime, it helped save my roses from black spot. So great trick I learned. Give it a try. It's really great. Do protect yourself. Don't breathe that stuff in, and, you know, don't get it in your eyes. You don't want to really get it on you, so, you know, dodge the plume of powder. But yeah, grab my stool here, get some footage of this sage before I harvest it. These 2 plants here in the back were plants that I started from seed last year and overwintered in my attic, and they ended up getting real, you know, leggy, and I brought them back to life basically by up potting them, and I had clipped off a lot of the leggy branches and put them in a pot here actually. They didn't all take, but I got 3 viable cuttings by just putting them in the dirt and keeping the dirt moist. Now granted, I did have those cuttings inside in water for, I don't know, like 2 weeks, and they weren't really rooting. Only one of them had like one itty bitty root, and I thought, wow, like they started looking pretty sad, so I was like, I need to just put these in the dirt and see what happens. And I did that, and it took a while. Not gonna lie, it took a long time, but eventually they started to thrive. So they've obviously rooted and established in that pot. So now I have a lot of sage, which I'm going to harvest pretty well. I'm probably going to take a lot of this off, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to, you know, put the pots in the garage or the attic, keep them protected for the winter, and then hopefully next spring, if I up pot them, I can get more sage. I just don't have a dedicated spot in the raised garden bed, so for now it's just container gardening for the herbs for me. But eventually, if I can keep these guys alive long enough, and I do get a designated spot in a raised bed, I can't wait to plant the herbs. I want to have established perennial herbs that just come up for me every year, so I don't have to go through the, I want to say the hassle of growing everything from seed every year, which is a lot of work. For those who have done it, you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm starting to get to the point now where I'm able to save some of these perennials that I've invested so much time and effort into. Lemon balm, yarrow, feverfew, hopefully, and hopefully sage. And eventually, catnip too. I'll have to show that in a minute. But yeah, I'm hoping in the future gardening won't be quite as hard because I've done all this work now. And that was always my goal, to start from seed. Just for the sheer experience of it, and also for the savings, the money savings. But I really wanted the skill, and I really feel like I've come up the curve on seed starting and growing things from seed. I really have a knack for it now. It takes a lot of, basically, it really boils down to a lot of time. But I have invested that, so I am reaping what I've sown. Before I move along, I just want to say, this tomato planter where I put all of our runts, there are 2, 3, 4, 5, there are 6 tomato plants in this green pot. And in my last video, I mentioned that they didn't taste so great and that we were growing it for beauty. I take that back. These tomatoes are delicious, and it's been prolific. As you can see, it has quite a few on it. And it's been a great supplement to what I grew out back. And the plants out back are actually pittering out, and this has just been providing me with more tomatoes at a time where I probably wouldn't have had a lot. So I'm like super grateful for this, and I will do this again. So if you have tomato runts, consider putting them in a larger pot and doing something like this. Really fantastic. As you can see, the fruits are all the way over here too. Okay, yeah, so what else over here? Just a random marigold. I've been moving those around just to keep them in the sun as much as possible. This whole area is my zinnias and sunflowers, so let me set this stool down. Okay, so giving you a visual. On the left-hand side, you'll see there are 2 sunflowers over here. One is bigger than the other because it has a larger pot. Go figure. But they're both bulbing up, and they're going to be super cute for the deck. And that was the goal, just to have a little extra flower love at the end of the season. And these were a bit of an experiment. These seeds were sown late on July 4th, just as an experiment. As is the same case with all of the zinnias except for the ones over here. This planter in the brown pot. That's on the older side, but it's still blooming. But all of these little guys in the front, so I'll just show the pots here. So there's one. I've got 3 of them in that pot, and all 3 of them are bloomed. A bunch of these guys aren't bloomed yet. So 1, 2, 3. These guys are not bloomed yet, but some of them are bulbing up, budding up, I should say. So I expect that we will see some more flowers if the weather holds. And last but not least, I've got this one. I gave a nice sized pot to, and it is blooming. So that was a great experiment. In this region, which is Zone 8B, it seems like you can plant zinnias from seed around early July, and if the weather holds out for you and you have the right conditions, you can still get some blooms. A couple marigolds down here, a black-eyed Susan, the Indian summer variety, teddy bear sunflower that's just about to be done, but it has these itty bitty tiny buds there that will probably blossom at some point. There's all my kale, which I still haven't gotten planted anywhere, but they're all potted in slightly larger pots, and yeah, I'm going to start harvesting some leaves off of this soon. But I had wanted to get this into the garden beds, but they're going to be doing a big tree trimming back there, and they're all just going to be in the line of fire, so I didn't want to plant anything and have big branches come down and smash them, so I'm just hanging on to these guys in containers for right now. This is a sunflower that I can't believe is still alive. Is that going to focus? Probably not. If you can see down here, it's in the smallest little pot. Same with this kale. I've just been keeping these two well watered, and clearly it's a survivor. So it's going to be a cute little bloom, and I'll take it. Okay, the peppers are coming along great. They are starting to blush, and we actually have our very first ripe one right here. It's a real beauty. And we're probably going to eat that tonight. But there's a lot more, and you can just tell, I mean, I can tell the hue is starting to change, and these should be ripening up for us here soon. I'll get another view of those around the other side in a second. Over here is the basil, which I'm going to be harvesting completely today, so this tray will go away. It's getting too cold now for the basil, so I've been keeping it in the garage at night and then bringing it out in the sun during the day. But now that I'm going back to work tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to really keep up with that, so I'm just going to harvest all of this and get it on the drying trays, and that's going to be fantastic for a dried herb all winter. Okay. This is very exciting for me. There are 3 catnips here. The mother plants are this one here and this one here. These guys were so root bound. I'd given up on them, but they just didn't die. I kept watering them, and at a certain point I was like, I'm just going to sacrifice those plants. But at a certain point I was like, they want to live. So I broke up the root balls and up-potted them into these large pots, pretty large. And same with all the cuttings. These were all cuttings that I took this spring that have since rooted and become their own little plants. So yes, I have established perennial catnip now that I will keep protected this winter as best I can. And hopefully in the spring, it just blooms for me. I don't have to grow it from seed again. So I'm sure more tasks will come along with this. I might have to up-pot it, prune it, that type of thing, and eventually, hopefully, get it into a designated spot in either a raised bed or in the ground. But yeah, that's very exciting. I can't believe I saved those guys. It makes me very happy. Here's another view of the peppers. You can see. Sorry, I got cut off there. You can see they're starting to turn. So exciting. These are some marigolds that I started July 4th. And I'd like to make gifts of these guys. We have a new pastor at the church that I work at, and a neighbor who gave me some basil, and a couple other people I thought might enjoy these, so I'm hoping to give these away. And they're sort of like at their prime now, so it's a nice thing to give. They look real beautiful. Green onions I'm probably just going to harvest and put out of their misery. But I'll probably just cut all these down today and get rid of the pots. And there's the herbs. I may do the same with them too. I'm not sure. I'm not going to have time to do anything major for another week, so I'll probably just let them hang out. And I'll just play that by ear. Last but not least, well actually not last but not least, but this is the black-eyed Susan planter that has several plants in there. It never flowered, But it's real healthy and it looks real nice on the deck, so wasn't a complete loss. Now, over here, this is last but not least. Okay, these guys are Cruspedia, and I mentioned in the last video that they've been super high maintenance, and I mean, what do I want to say about these plants? One is that I don't think they look as terrible as I thought they did. I looked them up online and saw some videos of what Cruspedia looks like. First of all, I think I have them in pots that are way too small. So I think there's that. And I remember when I was root potting these guys, their roots were really long, so I think they're not happy in these containers. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, the one thing I want to mention is I thought that they were supposed to be sun-loving, but they start to wilt under the sun. So I've been keeping them actually up on the railing over here in the shade. I only moved them down here so the light would showcase them a little nicer. But when I'm done this video, I'm going to move them back. They don't seem to like the bright sunlight. It does make them, you can see it's already starting to limp out. So I'm not sure if that's a result of the pots being too small, or if maybe they don't like that sunlight. I'm not sure. So in any case, I'm not sure what's going to happen with these plants. I'm certainly going to try to protect them for the winter, but I have a feeling they might not make it, especially in pots this small, and I don't really have a lot of large pots left. So in any case, here's one last look at them. They're supposed to get these beautiful long stemmed yellow balls that come out of them. I think you only get one flower per plant, I think. I'm not sure, which seems a little skimpy, but I'll never know unless I keep these guys alive and, you know, see next spring. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted. But yeah, that's where they stand right now, and that's my thought. Those are my thoughts. Yeah, really not sure about the sun-loving thing, and the pots are definitely too small. So live and learn. Okay, so it's pretty early still, and I do want to get some footage of the garden beds in the back there, but I would like to wait until the sun hits that area, so I'm gonna wait. I'll continue this video a little later on, but I think what I will do is I'll take a walk out to the front and just show what I've done out there on the south side of the house, in hopes of someday planting some things over there. Do have a couple things on the porch here. And I do have my two black-eyed Susan pots out here getting some sun. This is the south side of the house, so it gets a lot of sun, in fact, too much sun. A lot of times things just bake out here, but the weather's finally turned and it's going to be in the 70s, so it's going to be perfect. I'll probably be moving a lot of the potted plants over here for the next few weeks. Some things I have over here already is a yellow yarrow plant, which is going dormant, but that's down there. And two Shasta daisy plants, one there and one there. This one I'm really thinking of yanking out because it didn't do so well, but this one's been pretty robust. Note to self, gotta trellis that next year. Okay, and over here I did a huge project this week. I finally got all of this weeded, and you would think it's ready for planting, but it's not. This is actually very compacted dirt here. And this is actually a French drain, and it's not ready for planting. So what the idea is to put a bunch of large planters here, and even on this little deck area. But the only thing is that it gets so hot that I don't really know if that's gonna work out or not, unless there's some sunshade. So yeah. South side of the house, I'm working on it. the sunniest part of our property. And that's the thing about this property, is that there's just a lot of shade. Oh my gosh, there's Bobo, who had gone missing. Oh my god, I gotta pause this video. Thank God. Okay. Okay. It's much later in the afternoon, and just have to say, everyone's super relieved that Bobo the cat turned up. Apparently he got locked in somebody's garage overnight, so that neighbor got the message and got it a little late, but it's so funny, I captured that on camera. But yeah, everyone was worried sick, and yeah, he's an outdoor cat that belongs to my neighbors, and everybody loves Bobo. He's just the best. So we're very glad to have him back home. He's already been around the garden, said hello earlier, and I just checked the forecast. It's going to be pretty overcast the rest of the day, so this is probably the most sun I'm going to see back here right now. So I'm going to finish this up. I think it's pushing 2 o'clock, 2:30, somewhere in there. Yeah. So this is what it looks like back here. The cosmoses and zinnias are so tall. I don't know how tall they are. Maybe some of them might be 7 foot, maybe more. I should measure. Taller than me, I'll tell you that. I can't really see the flowers because they're so tall. Like, I can't look down on them. But I love when they get this tall. They're just such a nice, beautiful, natural wall blocking sort of an unsightly situation back here on the other side there, which just have a shed that got destroyed by some snow, and so that's probably going to be like that for a while. And it's just nice to have this wall. How best to capture this beauty? Oh, I haven't been deadheading it as much as I should be. Really at all. I think I clipped like 2 or 3 off last night that were really done, but I think now that the season is winding down, it's going to be wise to just cut these down and bring them in so we can enjoy them inside. Because I'm going to be going back to work this week, and you know, I'm not going to get to enjoy them back here as much, and it's getting colder. And before long, they'll succumb to the cold and maybe powdery mildew. Although, like I said, I've been dusting this patch with sulfur, and it's really made a huge difference. As you can see, there's lots of purple this year, purple and pink. So next season, I think maybe I'll buy some different colors deliberately and mix it up a little bit. But we have colors for sure. This actually, maybe I would call that peach, is one of my favorites. It's a really lovely shade. I feel like there's multiple shades in these flowers. And zinnias in general, once they get older, they start sort of changing color a little bit. Some of the petals get lighter in color, some stay darker. Here's a good example. You can see the older petals at the bottom are a little lighter and they're darker on top. Lots of this color down here and on this side. These are the cut and come agains. They've really been, what do I want to say? They've been good producers, and they've provided us with a lot of different variety, color-wise. And the flowers are mostly multiple petals, so they're like balls. I guess these yellow ones have less petals, but their centers are really cool. The orange ones are so tall, I'm only going to be able to maybe get, I can't even see my screen, so I don't know if that focused, but yeah, a lot of the orange ones you'll see up there, there's two, are just way out of my reach. There's a pink one here that I might be able to get. Stretching. Yesterday I finally did deadhead a bunch of the cosmos because they were just looking really ragged. I saved the bucket of those cuttings, and I'm sure there's some seeds in there that are viable. That's sort of why I wasn't deadheading the zinnias, because I was thinking this year I would really do my best to save as many seeds as I could. And I still will do that. So I'll resist the urge to cut a lot of these down. Maybe just bring a few in for vases. I bebop between the two ideas. Sometimes I'm just ready to be done with it and ready to cut it down for winter so I can work out here before it gets really cold and wet. And other times I'm like, no, just let them go. They really are gorgeous. I hope this shows how well these plants rebounded after being root bound in those little cups for a month and a half and still being planted out and being able to turn into plants this large. It's so impressive. I would not have guessed it. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but I really didn't expect the zinnias to be so amazing. And it makes me wonder if I had gotten them in even sooner, if they would be even more prolific. I don't know. Ooh. Like a flower like this, you can tell the seeds are going to be pretty good on that if I can let that stay on longer. Yeah, I think now that I've really taken a closer look out here, I think I really do need to let these flowers stay on the stems longer so that I can get some fresh seeds. I don't think the camera's doing that one justice. It's really just electric right now. A little tough going into the sun there. Here's a cute one. If it would focus. I don't have a camera that lets me manually focus, which is sort of a drag. There we go. That must be one of the luminosas. I suppose I could figure out which is which now. I know if I go down to the stalks here, the row on the far right, these are all actually the second row, first and second, now that I remember, are California giants. So these pink ones are all California giants. Here's a luminoso. Too tall for me to even think about reaching. Is there a flower? There is one up there. That's a luminoso up there, but I can't even begin to get up that high. These guys that I'm shaking are luminosas. They look purple. They are supposed to be purple. That variety in general was just all purple, which is probably why I have so many purple this year. This is definitely a luminosa. They are really spectacular. So if you like purple flowers and you like zinnias with multiple petals like this, I would recommend the luminoso variety. That's quite nice. And then after that is State Fair. So these orange ones are definitely State Fair. That's a weird angle. Lots of orange on the State Fair row. But I think that one right there is definitely State Fair. And same with that one up there. So it wasn't just orange. We also got yellow, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to get any clearer view of that one. I'm stretching. But yeah, so State Fair yielded mostly orange, but we got some deep pink and yellow as well. And I guess a purplish pink. And I think a lot of the rest of them are probably just cut and come again. All of these down here on this side. So yes, wish I had my ladder, because again, those cosmoses are up so high. The real angle is when you're coming down and looking down at them, so I'm just too short. Let me see if I can raise the camera up a little bit. Taking a leap of faith there. I don't know if it's focusing. But yeah, that's a pretty one. I guess that's State Fair. So that's a light pink State Fair. The bees are really still going crazy out here, which is great. And these are honeybees that I'm seeing. I had made a comment in a video before about how there was a bee that sort of chased me away, and it was a yellow jacket, and that's a wasp. So that makes a lot more sense. We actually do have a yellow jacket nest over by the deck that we need to tend to. We're going to do some baiting, but to be honest, they've been sort of living in harmony with everything else right now. And there's a part of me that doesn't feel right about destroying the nest, so I don't know what I'm going to do there. But if they become aggressive, I think that will be our cue. Down here, I already harvested out 2 kale plants last night. They're inside, ready to be used. I'll merge in a picture of that. It was one of the nicer plants. and then a scraggly one with it. There's 3 more kind of scraggly plants down here, and we'll be eating those up very soon. The marigolds are still kicking it down here. There is a slug on the prowl, or more than one slug. I've killed one at least down here, but the leaves have been getting slimed and chewed on, so. They'll probably be ready for a deadheading soon, and then as you can see, there's a lot of buds there ready to pop again. So as long as the weather stays nice and they get enough sun, I might get another flush of flowers. Okay, that's it for the flowers. I think I showcased them enough. Or have I? Ah, God. Garden bed 2, my favorite. This is garden bed 3. You can see I've pulled out all the cucumbers, cleared that out, took a trellis out. All that's left back here now are the zinnias. Behind them are the tomatoes, Mexican midget, and only one zucchini. Oh yes, I also pulled out one of the zucchinis here the other day. But this one over here is still working on 2 down here. They're smaller, but as soon as those are ready, I'll be pulling this plant out too. It's pretty much coming to the end. And I put a tomato cage in like this to sort of like tack it in place so when the wind blows it doesn't fall over. These are interesting plants, you know, it started here and then it like, they're really long, like they're sprawling. There used to be another zucchini plant right here, so I was able to move this over and stake it here where it's still in the bed. When this other one was here in this spot, it was coming out into the pathway and it completely blocked the pathway. Even though I had planted it way back here, it like grew all the way over, so. They're monsters. You really do need a lot of space for zucchini, and they require a lot of sun, so that's why they got garden bed 3 in the front, because that's some of the best sunlight that we get. So yes. The zinnias over here are a little bit past their prime. It's still looking beautiful, but I'm saving seeds on these for sure, especially that one. I mean, that's beautiful. And I love this one too. I mean, just the shape. These multiple petaled zinnias. The orange ones aren't my favorite, I'll say. Like, that's okay. I'm spoiled. You know. So I probably wouldn't, like, out of choice grow this one again. I believe that's a state fair. Wish I could remember what this was, but I don't. And this one is pretty pristine at the moment. Must be on the newer side. Such a lovely color. What would you say? That's coral? The tomatoes are petering out. There are still some ripening on these vines, so I'm letting them go. But I'm honestly getting more tomatoes from the deck planter than I am from back here right now. So they're on their way out, and I'll probably be yanking these plants out soon. So yes, looking forward to putting some things to bed for the season. I spoke earlier on the deck about how I saved some of my perennials by getting them into low. Well, as my camera likes to do, it shut off at around, I think, the 17-minute mark, which is hard to believe I talked that long, so hopefully this isn't too boring. But anyway, it's really information I know I'll want later, so fast forward if you like. I'm not sure where it cut off, but I will say that I was talking about this spearmint plant and how I up-potted it, and I'm really excited for having all this work done, because next spring hopefully I just have spearmint coming up and I don't have to, you know, work so hard for it. I took cuttings from this plant actually this spring, and I propagated it into another plant, which I've since cut back, but you can see it's established and ready to go into the winter. And I don't really know I don't remember what pot this was next to, but it was next to the spearmint plant at some point, and it reseeded. So it obviously dropped some seeds, and I moved it back here to be close to the other spearmints. So clearly these flowers aren't just for show. I've got some real seeds in there, which I'll definitely try to save some. And nature just did its thing there, which was cool. I mean, I actually pruned off some of the nicest looking leaves and had them in a cup of tea the other day, so that was amazing. I didn't get a lot of usable spearmint this year because the plants were bolting almost right away, probably because they were in pots that were entirely too small for them, and I didn't really foster them all that much. So now that I've got them up potted, I'm a lot more hopeful for the future. The teddy bear sunflower planter is still in bloom. Now, granted, it's not that special, but I don't know if that's focusing. But these are still really cute flowers. Guess what that is? If you can hear me over the helicopter, oh my god. Those are chamomile seedlings that self-seeded there because I used to have a chamomile next door to this planter and it just sort of dropped seeds in there. There's a little weed, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. The squirrels like to dig in these planters, so I don't know if they'll survive that. Now that's why I have the chicken wire down here for the squirrels to stay out, because the chamomile self-seeded down here actually quite a bit, and I'm letting it do its thing. I don't think we're going to see any flowers though. I don't know. I was going to say I've never known chamomile to flower in the fall. I don't think there's going to be enough light. Same with these guys over here. And that's a foxglove over there that's self-seeded. And this is a butterhead lettuce that has gone to seed as well. In fact, if you've never seen it before, here's the seeds. Can I get them out? Yeah, wow. Oh geez. So yeah, we'll just let them drop down there. Maybe we'll get some lettuce in there. I should just actually plant lettuce in here, but I don't have the time right now. So yes, I think that's pretty much all. Let me take a step back. Foxglove corner, dormant Shasta daisy, a volunteer sunflower that is running its course. Came up in a very funny place down there, which is strange because I've never had sunflower seeds over here. Lots of foxgloves growing all around randomly. There's my puffer of sulfur powder. And yeah, I've been hitting that whole patch. I should have hit the cosmoses more with it because I've noticed the cosmoses are getting a little powdery mildew on their stems. But I didn't. Live and learn. And then down here I have my pot washing station. I just reuse the same water over and over again, and then when I'm done scrubbing the pots out, I rinse them with fresh water and let them dry. So it's that time of year. Well, that chore is actually all year long, especially when you start your own seeds. So yes, that's how the garden is looking. This is probably one of the last videos I'll do. Like I said, maybe I'll do a random video here or there. But I was thinking of maybe doing like targeted videos on my experience growing certain things. People might find that to be helpful. So anyway, something for way down the line. I'm going to be pretty busy with other things for the next few months. So gardening's going to go on the back burner. Alright, well, on that note, let's find some sky. There we go. Over and out for now.